Greetings, wanderers of the mind. Have you ever felt that there's a part of you hidden in the dark, whispering truths you're too afraid to admit? That very shadow you avoid might be the map that leads you straight to your true purpose. If you're ready to dive into the depths of your psyche, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe, because here we don't just scratch the surface, we go deep where others dare not go. Carl Jung once said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." Your shadow, the collection of traits you repress, the emotions you hide, the impulses you deny, holds the key to the destiny you're meant to live. Think of it like a chest buried in the basement of your soul. It looks dangerous, but inside, it contains treasures that can transform your life. Imagine this. A man spends years trying to be the perfect employee, the perfect partner, the perfect citizen. But beneath his polished smile lies anger, ambition, even jealousy. He hides it, ashamed of it. Yet when he finally dares to confront those feelings, he realizes his suppressed ambition is the very energy that can propel him into building the business he always dreamed of. His shadow was not his enemy. It was his compass. Your purpose is not found in the light alone. It is carved in the contrast, in the dance between who you show the world and who you secretly are. The mistake most people make is believing they have to eliminate their shadow, when in truth, it's about integration. By embracing the parts of yourself you've been told to reject, you unlock a force so authentic it cannot be shaken by fear, doubt, or criticism. The shadow is not here to destroy you. It is here to complete you. And if you dare to listen to its message, it will reveal the purpose you've been searching for all along. Psychology teaches us that the mind is not a single unified entity. It's more like a theater, where different characters play their roles. Some stand proudly in the spotlight. That's your conscious self, the version of you you've carefully crafted for the world to see. But behind the curtains, hidden in the dark corners of the stage, live the forgotten actors, impulses, fears, desires, even talents you've locked away. Jung called this hidden territory the shadow. The shadow is not just the ugly or negative within you. It's also the unexplored, the raw, the unpolished. For example, when a child is told, "Don't be so loud," they might repress not just their noise, but their natural charisma, their leadership, their voice. Years later, that same person might feel lost or purposeless, unaware that the very trait they buried could have been the spark of their destiny. In therapy, we often see this. The patient who cannot understand why they feel restless, unsatisfied, or detached from their own life. They might present with anxiety or with a sense of emptiness. But when we begin to peel back the layers, the truth emerges. Their shadow has been knocking on the door for years, demanding recognition. The psyche does not tolerate imbalance. What you push down does not disappear. It waits patiently until you are ready to face it. Think about dreams. Have you ever had a nightmare so vivid it seemed to know you better than you know yourself? That is often the shadow speaking. Jung believed dreams are the unconscious communicating in symbols, guiding us to confront what we resist. The monster chasing you? It might not be an enemy. It might be your own forgotten power, disguised in a terrifying mask. And here's the paradox. The very things you fear about yourself often contain the blueprint of your purpose. To deny the shadow is to deny half of your psychology. To embrace it is to step into wholeness. In psychology, we understand that the psyche seeks balance. Jung described this as the process of individuation, the journey of becoming your true self. And here's the key: individuation cannot happen without confronting the shadow. Your purpose is not something that magically appears from outside. It is forged from the integration of your conscious life with what lies hidden beneath. Think of repression. Every time you suppress anger, envy, or even desire, those emotions don't vanish. They slip into the unconscious. Over time, they become projections. Suddenly, you see arrogance in others, not realizing it's your own ambition crying for recognition. Or you criticize someone's selfishness, when in truth, you've buried your own need for independence. This mechanism is psychology's way of telling you your shadow is leaking into the world, asking to be acknowledged. Now, when you consciously bring these elements into awareness, everything shifts. Anger, when integrated, becomes assertiveness. Fear, once understood, turns into caution and wisdom. Even envy transforms into inspiration, the drive to pursue what others have achieved. These hidden aspects, once denied, can be reshaped into qualities that give direction to your life. Clinical work often shows us this transformation. A patient who always described herself as too kind eventually admitted she had a shadow full of rage. At first, she was terrified. What would it mean if she accepted this part of herself? But as therapy progressed, that rage revealed its secret. It was not here to destroy her, but to protect her boundaries. The anger she repressed was the voice that said, "I deserve respect." By integrating it, she didn't become violent. She became stronger, more authentic, and finally aligned with her sense of purpose. The shadow doesn't erase who you are. It completes who you are. Purpose arises not from rejecting the darkness, but from transforming it into light you can use. In Jungian terms, this is alchemy, turning the lead of your hidden self into the gold of your destiny. Throughout history, every culture has told stories about confronting the darkness to discover hidden strength. Psychology reveals that these myths are not just entertainment. They are mirrors of the human mind. The hero who enters the cave, the warrior who faces the dragon, the wanderer who descends into the underworld. These are all symbolic journeys into the shadow. And just like in those myths, your shadow guards something priceless, the treasure of your authentic purpose. Consider the Greek myth of Perseus. Before slaying Medusa, he had to look indirectly, using his shield to face the monster without turning to stone. Psychologically, this mirrors how we must approach our shadow. If you face it head-on without preparation, it overwhelms you. But if you learn to reflect, to analyze, to use awareness as your shield, the shadow becomes something you can handle. And from it, you claim your power. Modern psychology observes the same dynamic. A man who represses his creativity because it was mocked in childhood may feel purposeless in adulthood. His life seems safe but empty. Yet when he begins journaling, painting, or even dreaming again, he finds that the monster he feared, his vulnerability, was in fact his doorway to meaning. What once paralyzed him now becomes the very thing that drives him forward. The details of this process matter. Integration is not about indulging every impulse or acting out your darkest fantasies. It is about acknowledging the part of you that feels unacceptable, understanding its origin, and finding its hidden value. Jung argued that the shadow is often 90% pure gold, meaning most of what you reject in yourself is not evil, but raw, misunderstood energy. When you polish it, it becomes strength. Let's bring this closer to everyday life. Imagine someone who constantly avoids conflict. On the surface, they appear calm, agreeable, easy to get along with. But deep inside, their shadow is filled with unspoken resentment. At work, they feel overlooked. In relationships, they feel invisible. When this person finally dares to explore their shadow, they realize their avoidance comes from childhood, where expressing anger was punished. By facing this, they discover their buried assertiveness. That very quality becomes the cornerstone of their purpose: to lead, to protect, to guide others with a voice that now has weight. The path to purpose is never clean or comfortable. It is psychological excavation. You dig through layers of shame, guilt, and fear, and what you find beneath is not a monster, but an ally. This is why Jung insisted that wholeness, not perfection, is the true goal of life. Psychology is not just theory. It offers us tools to turn shadow into purpose. Jung himself developed techniques to make the unconscious conscious, and modern therapists still use them today. One of the most powerful is journaling. Not the kind where you write a perfect story, but where you let the raw, unfiltered thoughts spill onto the page. Write down what irritates you about others, what you envy, what you secretly desire, but don't dare to admit. Those lines are not random complaints. They are fingerprints of your shadow. Another practice is projection analysis. Every time you feel an extreme reaction towards someone, a hatred that burns too strongly, or an admiration so intense it borders on obsession, pause and ask, what part of myself am I seeing in them? The shadow often wears the mask of others. That colleague you call arrogant may embody the confidence you've buried. That artist you idolize may reflect the creativity you've suppressed. By tracing back projections, you pull fragments of your shadow home. Then there's active imagination, a method Jung pioneered. You close your eyes, visualize a dialogue with your shadow, and let it speak. It might appear as a figure, a voice, even a dreamlike scene. At first, it may say things that shock you, truths you've avoided for years. But if you listen without judgment, you'll discover that what seems terrifying is often deeply wise. Some patients describe it as meeting a forgotten mentor inside themselves, one who knows exactly what direction their life should take. Even simple reflection can be transformative. Ask yourself, what patterns repeat in my life? Do I always choose the same kind of partner, the same dead-end job, the same toxic friendships? Those repetitions are not accidents. They are the unconscious pulling the strings. The shadow will repeat itself until you pay attention. And the moment you recognize the pattern, you gain freedom to choose differently, to align with your true path. Purpose, from a psychological perspective, emerges when your conscious goals align with your unconscious drives. That's why ignoring the shadow leads to emptiness. You're living only half a life. But when you engage with these exercises, when you allow the hidden parts of you to integrate, you no longer chase purpose outside of yourself. You realize it has always been waiting within, disguised as the very darkness you tried to avoid. The truth is, your shadow is not your prison. It's your liberation. Every hidden impulse, every denied emotion, every suppressed dream is not there to haunt you. but to guide you. Psychology shows us that purpose does not come from running away from who you are. It comes from turning inward, from facing what you fear, and from embracing the totality of your being. Carl Jung believed that the greatest danger is not the darkness itself, but the refusal to look at it. When you deny your shadow, you live half asleep, chained to patterns you don't understand. But when you step into the darkness with open eyes, you awaken to a life that is no longer borrowed, no longer scripted by others. It becomes truly yours. So ask yourself, what part of you have you been avoiding? What qualities have you buried under shame, fear, or doubt? Inside those very shadows lies the map to your destiny. To discover your purpose is to accept your wholeness, to walk boldly with both your light and your darkness, knowing they complete each other. And if you felt something stir within you while listening to this, don't let it fade away. Feed it. Keep exploring. Keep going deeper. This channel is where we dive into the truths most people are too afraid to touch. And if you're here, it means you're ready to face them. So give this video a like, subscribe, and join this community of explorers of the human psyche. Because the journey doesn't end here, and neither does your shadow.